April 20th, 2020 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Oh wait, hold on, Ricky's texting me. Okay, good, okay. A meeting notice amending the time the meeting will start was sent on April 13th, 2020 in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
of
and to the republic
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
job.
Amen.
Okay, do roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman Cumming.
Here.
Councilman DeSena.
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Here.
Council President Feeney.
Here. I'm going to read the public service announcement for April 20th, 2020.
Stacy,
Yeah,
Can
am I
you
not
please-
here?
if you could just reflect about the mayor.
Oh, sorry. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Peter Calamari, Township Administrator Robert Tovo, Township Attorney Ken Poller, and Township Clerk Sue Witkowski.
Thank you.
Sorry, yeah. Coronavirus. For the latest updates on the coronavirus, as well as messages from Mayor Calamari, Chief Skinner, and Governor Murphy's statewide at-home order, please visit our website, the Township website. Face masks are now required by law in New Jersey grocery stores, essential retail stores, and while using New Jersey Transit. Per Governor Murphy's Executive Order number 120, dated Wednesday, April 8th, 2020, the primary election scheduled for June 2nd has been rescheduled to Tuesday, July 7th. The Township Municipal Building is closed to the public. However, you may reach all offices by phone and email. All businesses will be conducted via telephone, email, United States Post Office, or the blue drop box located outside of Town Hall, which may be used for depositing all incoming mail, second quarter tax payments due May 1st, and any other fees or correspondence with the Township. All correspondence must be addressed to the proper department. No cash is accepted. Tax payments must be in a sealed envelope and identified by the address or block and lot number. If you wish to pay your tax bill to be stamped paid, enclose entire bill with your payment. In addition, please enclose a self-addressed stamped envelope and it will be mailed back to you. Also, please note that your quarterly taxes may be paid online. Township offices and DPW will be closed on Fridays until further notice. Pet licensing. Due to the current situation of COVID-19, the issuance of summonses has been suspended until further notice. To avoid receiving one in the latter part of the year as a courtesy, we ask if you have received a final notice, please contact the clerk's office by phone or email as listed in the letter to notify that you have either moved or no longer have your pet. You can also mail in your renewal with payment, check only, a copy of your pet's current rabies certificate so the 2020 license tag can be mailed to you. We thank you for your cooperation at this time in this matter. Scam alert. The CDC or health department will not go door to door to take your temperature. This is a scam. Do not open the door. Please report immediately to the police department. In addition, Suez and PSE&G will not turn off your utilities during this pandemic. Be aware of those knocking or calling impersonating utility employees, such as, again, Suez and PSE&G. Household bulk debris pickup has been postponed until further notice. Support your local eateries. Please visit our website for a list of local establishments still open and serving our community. During these ever-changing times, we encourage residents to please stay in contact with our community. Visit our website to sign up for Swift 911. Sign up for our township email notices by texting the word township to 22828, entering your email address, or by following us on Facebook and or Twitter.
Thank you.
Also, please note the Township Task Force for COVID-19 will be sending out emails and contact information this week. We will be looking for volunteers to help with grocery shopping, mass donations, and various other errands such as prescription pickup and drop-off. Okay, approval of minutes from February 22nd, 2020. 2020 budget meeting. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Cumming.
Yes.
Councilman DeSena. Councilman DeSena.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on to mayor's appointment with consent of council.
Right.
Thank you, Stacy.
No.
To the council president and council members of the Township of Washington, please be advised that I am hereby appointing John Cochran to the position of Chief Financial Officer, effective as of May 1st, 2020, for the statutory term January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2023, subject to having your advice and consent, which I hereby respectfully request. Thank you, Stacy.
No problem. So I'm just asking a question because this is our first appointment in this matter. We are allowed to have discussion now, correct?
Well, first you make the resolution, you make the motion on the resolution, get a second, and then you have your discussion.
Okay, fine.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Okay, now you can have your discussion.
okay, thank you. Thanks, Ken.
No problem.
Okay, so I just wanted to know, this gentleman, did we happen to receive, I didn't get an email with the other resume was missing from our packet.
Which resume?
Mr. Good?
It was,
Page
That's where
7.
you're gonna have to talk up a little bit more.
yeah, I thought I
It's
saw
on
it.
page, there's a summary on page 7.
Yes, there's a summary on page 7, but I wanted to see his resume. I have Mr. Corcoran's resume, but I don't have her.
Careful with names.
Oh, sorry. I have the first candidate's resume, but I do not have, if you look on page 6, the 2 names are there, and I don't have the second resume.
I can answer that. I was concerned about submitting the resume while that person is currently employed in a different municipality in a similar position.
Maybe we could black it out and send it to us?
It's in his summary where he's employed. Why does that make a difference?
That's true.
Well, then if it is, I see no issue sending it out. I didn't realize it was in there.
So I know I saw it somewhere.
Yeah, his name.
Desiree, you gotta talk up a little bit, I'm sorry.
I was just thinking out loud. You want me to think louder?
That's okay.
What is the salary of the new employee?
Approximately 70,000,
And is this full-time or part-time?
20 to 25 hours a week.
And how, all days on site or no?
Yes, that's 20 to 25 hours in the office.
So is he going to be paid by the hour, Mr. Tovo? So if he comes in for 20, we owe him X. If he comes in for 25, we owe him X?
We're going to establish set hours, so it'll be 20 to 25 hours a study every week.
Well, the difference the difference between 20 and 25 is 5 hours. There is a differential in the rate. Is he going to be salary-based, or is he going to be salary and the job's going to be required to get done? Or is it going to be hourly in that, like, what's the expectation?
Thank you, Stacy.
Sorry?
That was my question, Stacy. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
The intent was to be salaried with the 20 to 25 pre-established per week, and if it does require more time than that, they'll cover it in the salary.
Okay, so no, not overtime eligible.
No.
How much was that salary again, please?
Approximately 70,000.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Tovo, you're saying approximately 70. It is 70,000, right?
Well, I said that we're still working on the appropriate amount of hours, whether it's 20, 25, or somewhere in between.
My question was, if it's 20, it's X. If it's 25, it's 70. Is that correct in making that assumption?
I'm sorry, say that again?
If it's 20 hours, it will be less than 70. If it's 25 hours, it will be 70.
I think that's fair to say, yes.
And how are you determining, just from my own education, how are you determining whether 20 or 25 is where you're going to be?
Based on workload and availability, we're confident that 20 hours a week should be enough, but my feeling is at least in the beginning, we may need to go a little bit higher than that.
So then if you set 25 hours, because, I was reading the report and I said that there's some training that's going to be needed, is the plan then if he does 25 hours now because there's training, is his hours going to be reduced to 20?
And again, I think we have to play this as it goes. If there's going to be a reduction in hours, the work can be done in fewer hours per week, we would subsequently have to lower the amount.
Okay, as long as we're on the same page there,
Well,
Mr. Tovo.
Mr. Tovo, in the executive summary, it says that both candidates would need additional support and guidance to perform certain functions that would be new to them. So, how are we going to achieve that?
Through training, CEUs, and some online work with admins that will require some time out of the office, probably on their site.
So, Mike, do you mind if I go?
Yes, please. No, I just wanted to, I mean, that's fine, Stacey, not at all.
No, I had a question because I see what you're saying about admins, and from a software perspective, I totally understand that. If admins is new to him, that's completely understandable. My concern around the training was that the candidate doesn't have strong financial statement built. So, that's something I felt in the roles that I saw that he should have some experience building out those financial statements. Where is the lack of background or experience in that area that's addressed?
I have emailed out to the Phoenix group who compiled the report, give me a list of classes and options to that gap. I'm going to take some direction from them on that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Tovo, could you say that one more time?
The Phoenix consulting group who compiled the report, I've asked them to give me a list of resources that would assist him in bridging that gap.
Right, but is it both sides of the financial statement, like both the balance sheet and the P&L? That's where I was just trying to, because it says unaudited. So I'm just concerned. That's a basic accounting, after like your second year of accounting, that you should have financial statement.
I can get some clarity from the Phoenix group on just where they see that shortcoming.
Okay. Because if it's unaudited, it should just be coming out of admin. If they need to clarify and say, pulling the actual reports out of admins, I really think that should be clarified, because that's a completely different animal than saying that someone doesn't know how to prepare a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement. So I want to just make sure that that's what they're talking about, or are they talking about not being able to actually put the financial statement together?
Understood. I will get clarity on that.
Okay.
Mr. Tovo, you mentioned something regarding hours and availability. Is he unavailable if we need him 25, 30, 40 hours?
You can see he's retired from a similar position and would rather not return to a full 35, 40-hour week.
So, Mr. Tovo, he will not be working for anybody else other than the township?
That is correct.
Now, in the Phoenix...
Councilman DeSena, you have to talk up, please.
In the Phoenix group's report, there are 9 basic functions that a chief financial officer has to be able to complete on his own, and they make notice that he may need some help with some of those. How much help did you think we will need to give him on those 9 things that he or she should hold?
I think based on the interviews with him, both myself and the mayor, and along with the Phoenix group, I truly believe the biggest hurdle here is going to be learning the software. As far as the other functions, he's performed the majority of them in support roles. It's just a matter of now, taking that support role and, bringing it up another level. So, yeah, I'm confident that those, gaps can be filled rather quickly.
So going off of what Councilman DeSena is saying, do you think what's really being referred to in here is not the lack of ability to perform the job, like these 9 tasks, but it's the software?
I think when it comes to doing finance, software is always a very big piece of it. But again, going back to my earlier comment, going from that next step of being support personnel in the finance department, being the CFO, there's still, it's a bigger step to take. So you're taking a bigger chunk of the work, and you're finalizing all of it. So he has to pull all those pieces together, to give us the final products that we need.
Okay.
Where he would typically do his reports and submit them to his CFO for approval, he'll now be doing many of those reports and, relying on himself and his resources to make sure those reports are accurate.
Can I just ask a broad question, and you don't have the answer, it's fine. Just out of curiosity, and I'm not trying to say anything specific, but how many resumes were we actually in receipt of?
2.
Just 2.
Correct.
And the job was posted publicly, I'm assuming? If I didn't see it, so.
It was posted on the League of Municipalities site.
Okay.
Mr. Tolo, you had stated that the interview process was between you, the mayor, and Phoenix Group. I'm reading here that they were not part of the interview process. They took on after. Is that correct, or is that not correct in their report?
Well, there was more than one step to the process. The mayor and I interviewed candidates.
Yeah, I know, but they're stating that the interview, they were given the 2 finalists. They did not conduct any interviews.
They were given the only 2 that we had, and then both candidates were presented for them to make sure they were professionally qualified for the position.
Okay.
Did the Phoenix Group speak to the candidates?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the cost for the Phoenix Group, Mr. Tolo?
$562.
Thank you. And are they going to give us a report that's signed with some credentials of who they are? Because I was not able to find them today online.
Yes, I can get the resume of the consultant that we utilized.
No, but I mean, it's just the pages that were submitted to the council don't have like typically a report like this would be signed by the author and what their credentials were to create this report, and I just don't see it.
Oh, Mike, typically in finance, that's not the case, just so you know.
Yeah, but on a candidate interview, this is not a finance. I'm talking just on a general candidate interview. Typically, the person, the HR person,
I've never seen like a signature or the person's credentials attached to it.
No, I mean, we paid for it. I just like to see who they are, what their address is.
There was a brief bio attached for the consultant who did the interviews.
We didn't receive that. Unless has anybody else seen it? I don't see it. I just went through it again.
Unless, is that the last page? Is that where it says CMFO, CCFO, QPA, CTC, MPA?
It's about a paragraph. If it is, that should be it.
That's, okay, so this is the credentials for the person who did the interviews from Phoenix Group. Okay, it doesn't say that.
Oh, the guy that we thought was the second, okay.
Yes, the guy we thought who was the second candidate, yes, is not. He is the, okay, so that makes more sense.
Okay.
Okay. Especially, it makes more sense because it says at the end he administered the CMFO exam.
Yeah, that's why. Okay, now that kind of makes sense.
Sorry, Mr. Togo, it's just, when you get it and you don't know, it looks like he's a candidate. It doesn't look like he's the guy who did the write-up.
The report. No, yeah, I thought we had somebody's resume mixed in there with it.
So did I.
Now I see John is he's the principal of Phoenix Consulting.
Right. I thought it was third summary.
Correct, yep.
I think if we had that candidate as an option, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
That's true. I did have a question on the scoring, just because I've seen scoring different. The lower the number, and because one's the highest score, so the lower the numbers is the higher the score.
I didn't read it like that.
So it says the candidates were ranked on a scale of 1 to 3, with 1 being the highest score.
Oh, with 1 being the highest.
Yep, so the higher number is the lower number.
Yeah, just want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
There's only 1 point difference between the two of them.
No, there's 2 points. If you look at debt management, the second one's got a 3.
Oh, yes, okay.
I mean, just...
Yeah, okay. Mr. Togo, with our previous full-time CFO seeming to have a lot of work on her hands, you think 20 to 25 hours is going to be enough?
I do.
Okay. Do you see it being enough with the assistance of other agencies, like it says in here in the report, of other people like the municipal auditor, the bond counsel, and all that being needed in order to make it be part-time?
No more than it has been in the past.
Mr. Tovo, I know that of the 2 candidates, it seems he scored better, but do you think either of these really have enough experience?
Well, in an ideal world, I wish we had applicants with more experience, but I think both of these candidates, with some additional training, could be a great asset to us.
So you're thinking long-term, Desiree, if you don't mind if I piggyback off you? Is that, we basically groom them for long-term CFO roles? I mean, 5-10 years, is that what we're thinking?
I was thinking 5, I wasn't thinking 10.
Okay. Judy, the previous CFO was full-time or part-time also?
Full-time.
Who is going to be tasked with assisting him if he does get the position?
I'm sorry, Desiree, could you repeat that question?
Who's the person who's going to be tasked with the assistance, the additional assistance? Who's going to be doing that?
Well, it's going to be a combination of training courses. I'm sure I'll have to spend some time with LVH getting up to speed. Our own staff here can bring them up to speed on much of it and give a pretty good education on how Edmunds works. Tax collector knows Edmunds very well, in addition, and so does purchasing. So I think it's going to be a combination of people that can bring them to that spot.
Mr. Tova, one other question. The candidate, he will not be taking medical benefits and he will not receive vacation or sick time since he's part-time?
Well, part-timers are eligible for sick time and vacation time at a prorated base, but medical benefits would not, the hours requirement would not be met for that, and the candidate already has that coverage.
Okay. So if you do the math, it comes out to roughly $54 an hour. So whether he works 20 hours or 25 hours, where that's the offer, is $54 an hour?
That's in the range of what we discussed, yes.
I think for the part-time position, the salary is in line with the role. I'm worried that since we were in a previous full-time position, we had someone who was full-time previously, you know, I think that we need to just be aware that this could come back and it could be required that there's a full-time need here, you know, in order to get things under control, or not just under control, but just run on a daily basis.
Yeah, that was my exact sentiment when I asked the question before, Stacy.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to try part-time and, you know, see where this goes, I mean, maybe do a 3-month review and then, you know, assess the situation.
I know it's a little bit different maybe in the municipality, but is there like a probationary period or an intro period where after 90 days we kind of say, yes, it's working, no, it's not working? That's how it works in the secular.
The mayor's appointment was till 2023, correct, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, by statute, he has to be appointed to a 4-year term.
And that's for any CFO.
Is he a QPA at this point?
At this point, no.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cumming, what did you ask? You garbled.
I asked if he was a QPA.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments or concerns?
Mr. Tovo, if there's an issue with, you know, figuring out that we need a full-time and we appoint him for 4 years, what is our out clause, Mr.
Yeah, I
Pollard?
was thinking that.
It's a good question.
If we appoint him as a part-timer and we end up saying this doesn't work, how do we get him out?
Yeah, well, you're not appointing him as a part-timer. The appointment is a full-time appointment, so,
So how does that work with, if it's redeeming the hours, if it's a full-time appointment, how does that work?
How does what work?
Well, I mean, can you have a full-time appointment that's only working part-time?
No, a full-time appointment, when I say full-time appointment, the terms of employment are the terms of employment.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, forgetting about that, but we're talking about...
Mr. Pollard, you have to talk up a little bit, please. I'm sorry. Lean into the microphone.
Oh, yeah. Better? Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, okay, so, I mean, you know, the appointment's the appointment. Now, letting somebody, making it a temporary thing, that's a whole different ballgame. That's different than full-time and part-time. And I don't know that the statute's not set up for the appointment of a temporary CFO.
Well, we appointed Mr. Tovo as temporary CFO, didn't we?
He has never a certificate.
But I'm just asking the question, if we could appoint Mr. Tovo temporary, why can't we appoint this gentleman temporary until we figure out if it works, the part-time or not work?
Bob, do you have a certificate as a CFO?
I do not.
You do not. See, the appointment of him was okay because it was a person who was not a CFO, and you're allowed to appoint that for up to a year. Remember that? Then you can do it again for another year.
Right.
But if you're taking somebody who is a CFO, a certified CFO, I don't think the statute provides for a temporary appointment. The appointment's the appointment.
So it's because there's a vacancy, you're saying that's why the temporary is allowed, it's an interim, really?
Well, it's not, when you say it's a vacancy, this is not really, you know, it's not filling out the vacancy of the person, you know, before. It's a new appointment.
Why wouldn't he be filling out the vacancy? Because we appointed the person before for 4 years. Because technically it's a vacancy.
The appointment of a CFO is not an appointment for the balance of the vacancy. That's by statute, it's a 4-year appointment by statute, starting January 1st of the year of appointment. It's unlike other positions like a tax collector, where the statute specifically says appointments of a vacancy are for the unexpired term.
Mr. Tova, would candidate number 2 be available for full-time employment?
Yes.
And we're going to receive candidate number 2's resume in the next few days?
Yes.
Stacy, can we table this till we review it?
Yeah, I just had a few questions on this one. He has less than 6 years experience, correct?
Correct.
And he really has just been involved in more high level, such as the annual reporting. He's not actually been down in the day-to-day, is my understanding from the review.
Yeah, clearly just more of a support role within the finance department.
Yeah, not really. Okay. And just because I was reviewing his compared to the two, they're just so opposite ends of the spectrum.
The decision.
But sometimes, you know, we have a retired person versus a person that wants to make this a career, so that may be a benefit.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at the second candidate's actual, what he's been doing, and I don't know if it's the right, or the issues we talk about on a regular basis at council meetings, that's where I'm having a concern. Because a lot of their stuff seems to be performed outside of their office also.
No, I'm reading what they wrote, yeah. But I'd just like to see his resume, so this way we could, you know.
I mean, I'm only going off of the, the little blurb here, so.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah. Okay. I think unfortunately we need to table this. I agree with Councilman DeSay. I would like to see the other resume because, these are the two candidates that came in, which is fine, to see exactly where we are with the search.
And Mr. Pollard, you're giving us your professional advice that it cannot be a temporary if he has his license? Or is that something you need to review?
No, I'm giving it to you. You can take it right now. If I find it's different, since you're not acting on it anyway, I will make sure that I get you an email within the next day.
Okay, thank you.
So if you don't hear from me, that's what it is.
Okay.
And it definitely runs 4 years, Ken, right? Not with the term of the mayor, correct?
It runs 4 years, starting January 1st of the year of appointment.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm assuming both candidates' start dates would be within 2 weeks of the appointment, or at 2 weeks of the appointment.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm requesting we table this until possibly even the next budget meeting or the next council meeting, whatever comes next, and we can move forward.
Stacey, I just want to make sure all you and the council want is the resume of the second person, right?
That's it right now. I would like some clarity from Phoenix Consulting Group on where they talk about the first candidate. Hold on, let me just get to my note. Sorry. Mr. Tova, could you please ask the Phoenix Group if they're talking about the preparation, it's like a third of the way down, preparation of the financial statements. Are they talking about the unaudited? Are they talking about that he would just need work in Edmonds, or he actually would need assistance in preparing them?
Yes, I have the note here to check with them tomorrow on that.
Okay, thank you. So this has been tabled. Okay, everybody good?
Yep.
Okay. Next item is appointment to fire department. Membership application from Scott W. Stewart for the Township of Washington Volunteer Fire Department.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second.
Do roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Council President Feeney?
Yes. On to general public discussion. To participate in the general public discussion, please limit to 5 minutes. Portion of the meeting, please dial in on 201-664-4659. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record, and I will ask that only one person speak at a time. Please note that at the end of the general public discussion, no more calls will be accepted. May I have a motion to open public discussion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sue, please open the line.
I'm going.
They should be able to know they're on, so let's see what's going on.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
You're on the line.
This is Michael Ullman, 2 Clark Avenue.
Michael, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Mr. Ullman. Please go ahead.
Good evening. Just a follow-up from last week, the discussion on the pension charge. I believe it was not included in a planning book that was circulated to the council. It was indicated that that pension expense was included in the actual numbers of some other spreadsheet, or I'm not really sure where it would have been included, but did we get, or not did we, but did you receive an answer on that?
So we will receive the revised numbers on Tuesday. Mr. Tovo had asked previously when I checked last week's minutes if he could get them to us by tomorrow for Thursday's meeting, so we do not have an answer as of yet.
All right. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else on the line that would like to speak?
Okay, motion to close public discussion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Okay, adoption, second reading, none. Introduction, first reading, none. Resolutions, consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of the council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone have any items to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion before we go through the list?
Mr. Tovo, there's a $6,700 charge for 727 Amherst Drive. What is that for?
Councilman DeSena, if you want to pull it, just let me know you want to pull it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing the bill list.
No, it's okay. Do you want to pull the bill list?
But that is the bill list, Mike. You got to talk up.
No, Mike, just let me know. Do you want to pull resolution number 20-200?
Sure, please.
Okay. Does anybody else want to pull any other resolutions that are currently on the list besides 20-200? Okay. All right, I'm going to move forward with everything but 20-200, and then we'll go back to 20-200. Okay? Okay. Resolution number 20-201, appointment of Joseph Citro, QPA, for one-year term effective April 20th, 2020, expiring April 19th, 2020.
21. My apology.
Sorry, say that again?
Expiring April 19, 2021. My apology.
2021, sorry.
My bad. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Appointment of Joseph Citro, QPA, for a one-year term effective April 20th, 2020, expiring April 19th, 2021. Resolution number 20-202, authorized refund of engineering escrow funds, block 4205, lot 1494, Cross Street, in the amount not to exceed $92.75. Authorize refund of engineering escrow funds, block 4310, lot 58, 418 Hickory Street, in the amount of not to exceed $54.50. Authorize maintenance bond release to Stagger Lee LLC, 195 Linwood Avenue. Motion to approve these 4 resolutions.
So moved. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Little new format there, Stacy, hopefully to make things go a little bit smoother. Spoke to Mr. Poller about this.
No, I do. I like that's actually much smoother because then we can move on with what everybody has questions on.
Yep.
Everybody received
Need a
amended
motion.
bill list also in their email before we move on?
All right, Stacy, you need a motion before you can discuss.
Oh, okay. May I have a motion to discuss resolution number 20-200?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
No, all in favors.
Okay.
Discussion now.
Okay, discussion. Did everybody receive the email from Sue?
Yes.
Okay, good. Making sure.
Mr. Tovo, on page 2 of the bill list is $6,700 for Dutra for 727 Amherst Drive.
Yeah.
What is that for?
That is for an emergency sewer backup and repair
Where was the backup and the repair made?
in the street.
Was the entire lateral replaced or just the street?
Not the entire, just where the blockage was occurring from roots and other debris.
That's an expensive blockage. Okay. Did we physically replace the main?
We replaced the part of the main that was damaged.
Okay.
And this was all on public property?
Yes, sir, it was.
Wow. Okay. When you get a chance, Mr. Tovo, can I see that, please?
Yeah.
The bill?
I'd like to see the bill
scan of it,
and
too.
any supporting backup to that.
Okay, understood.
Mr. Cumming, you asked for it also?
Yes, sir, I did.
Thank you.
How about I send it out to everybody when I get it?
Perfect.
The Falmouth Police Department, the pistol range, is that annual, the 2,400, or is that?
That is annual, yes.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any other, does anybody have any other questions here?
No, that's all I have.
No.
None for me.
Okay. May I have a okay, so,
Roll call.
roll call, sorry.
That's okay. Councilman Casio?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's fine. I'm good. Sorry.
Are you sure?
Positive. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay. Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Council President Feeney?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Now you're at your conference agenda.
Yes. Sorry, I was just making a note.
I have a motion?
Sorry, what?
Somebody have a motion to adjourn to conference?
Yes, I'm sorry, just making a note. Sorry.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. First item is bridge at the duck pond. Mr. Tovo, did DMF review and recommendations?
Are you referring to the signs?
Yeah, I did notice there was a sign. I wasn't sure. I thought we had just asked for the site to be reviewed before something was done. What was I didn't stop and see the sign. I just saw a sign went up where there wasn't one before.
There are temporarily signs up for no fishing from the bridge. Something we don't like to do, but there really is no way to social distance if somebody's trying to go over the bridge while there's fishing taking place. If there is a way to do that moving forward, we would, reword the sign so that we could, accommodate both fishermen and or people fishing and people walking. But for now, we are on the side of caution.
Okay, so basically when the social distancing is over, the signs will come down.
Yeah, that's a strong possibility, yes.
Okay.
It's not our goal to, prevent people from doing that. We're just trying to, once again, be on the cautious side.
Okay. Because the town doesn't have an issue with people fishing from there, it's just due to social distancing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I would recommend that after this is over, the signs come down.
I agree, Stacy.
Okay.
We have no objection to that.
Good. Okay. All right, I'm good. If anybody else has any other comments on this,
Yeah, that was always the thought process, to just leave it up for now.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, the next item is ordinances and legislation, the sale of township property. So this is for...
Okay, that's for me.
Yes.
Right? Okay. All right, so a little background. So as you all know, there are various properties in town that the municipality owns, undersized lots, basically, little strips of land here, there, and everywhere. The administration has always been looking to see if there's any interest in selling any of these undersized pieces of property, as long as the development would be okay, and it would be getting money, a lot on the tax rolls, okay? So there's a lot on, it's a lot on Walnut Street, okay? And it's lot 50, block 4308. 25-foot lot, 25 frontage, okay? So that's undersized lot. It's in a B district, which is 75, so it's an undersized lot. Now, the law allows you to sell at private sale, not by auction, a lot that is less than the minimum required for development and with no capital improvement on, in private sales. And if there are, but the requirement is that you have to offer it to the adjoining landowners, and you can sell it to the highest bidder from those who want to bid on the property in terms of the contiguous landowners, okay? Now, for those of you who've been on the council before, we've done this before where we've sold properties and so on and so forth. So all the neighbors were contacted, and only one neighbor, one contiguous landowner is interested, and that is the person who owns two lots on Fern Street. One that directly backs up to this 25-foot lot that goes through to Walnut, and the next lot next to that. That would be lots 21 and 19. 19 is the one that would be contiguous to this piece of property that the town owns. The owner of that property offered $50,000 for that lot. Okay? We went to find out if that were, you have to sell it for fair market value. We went to our assessor. He gave us a letter that it was valued at less than $50,000. So you have all the ingredients to have a sale to that owner for $50,000. Now, the condition of the sale would be, of course, that it would have to be part of the lot that actually fronts on Fern, and it could only be used, as part of a single-family residence. It couldn't be used for the development of any, a different house, a different piece of property. It would be merged into the lot from Fern. So at the end of the day, you'd have, a lot that's fronting on Fern. It would be a through lot to Walnut, one piece of property. You would be paid $50,000. It would be on the tax rolls, and that's kind of the background for the transaction. Procedure basically is, passing an ordinance to allow for it. Then there would be a contract for sale. They would do a title search or whatever they want, but it's sold as is, and there are no conditions. We give them a quitclaim deed, which has no warranties, and we would get paid for the sale.
They're responsible for the new survey, Mr. Pollard?
We're responsible for nothing. They are. Everything.
I'm saying they are. I'm saying the
They are.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Do we need to approve this tonight?
You don't have to approve it tonight. I gave you the ordinance because it's an opportunity to do $50,000, but it's totally up to you.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the sale. Do you have an issue with the sale, Councilman DeSena?
No, not at all. I think it's a great idea. We've been asking for 2 years to, reach out to all the contiguous property owners. This is the first one. My second question was, Mr. Pollard, have we reached out to all the contiguous property owners of all these lots all over town, or is this just a random thing that happened?
I believe that the mayor and
Ken, I'll answer that one.
Go ahead. Yeah.
We decided to use this one as a test case because we hadn't done something like this in a while. Assuming this one goes through, now I would look to, somewhat fast track some others that are in the pipeline already and identify lots that fit the criteria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And
Yeah.
this woman contacted me by phone over a year ago, and I've been trying desperately to get her accommodated as to be able to buy the property legally for quite some time now, and I'm glad to see it's finally coming to fruition.
Does anybody have any other comments? Otherwise, I'm going to move to vote on this.
You move to introduce it at
Okay.
first reading.
Yeah, Stacy, I sent you kind of like a template of an introduction.
Did?
Yeah. I sent that to you this afternoon, and it was,
Okay, hold on one second.
had a little blurb, it had the resolution, and it had, the ordinance with it.
Hold on one second.
Take your time. Let's see if I can pinpoint it for you.
Okay, here we go. Okay. An ordinance authorizing the sale of Lot 50 in Block 4308 on the tax map of the Township of Washington to the owner of contiguous real property. Motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 2005 at first reading by title. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Two.
Councilman Casio. Hello? Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Council President Feeney?
Yes. Resolution number 20-205, authorizing publication of ordinance number 20-05 and schedule a public hearing. I'll motion for this. Anybody second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Sue, you're up.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Council President Feeney?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the next section is financials for budget timeline. So the new date is the end of this month, correct? There's a finance notice. If we don't finish by this Thursday, I'm going to file for an extension. To let everybody know.
Can I throw in that I wanted to thank Ken Fowler for his work on this and finally bringing it to reconciliation?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now let's get rid of the rest of them.
Yay, let's do it.
It'd be nice to get all these properties on the tax rolls and get cash up front. Be very nice.
Get
Very
somebody
nice.
else to cut the grass on them.
Oh, shoot. Okay, we need to go back to administration.
What's the matter, you?
I left off DMF review recommendations. I didn't see a paper on this.
There wasn't any.
Okay.
You would ask that in the form of a question.
Well, who brought this up?
I'm sorry?
Who put this on the agenda?
You did.
I did?
You did. The review for the duck pond, the bridge. It's the DMF's review
Oh,
of
no,
the bridge
okay,
of the
that's-
duck pond.
Okay. All right. No, I'm sorry. I went back. That's my mistake. Just
Okie doke. No worries.
Okay, so budget timelines, again, if we don't finish this Thursday, I'm gonna file for an extension, or the town's gonna file for an extension, and, just to cover us, if we finish, we finish, if we don't.
Well, Stacy, there's no way we can finish Thursday because we can't vote on it Thursday because we don't have what our tax burden's going to be and all that done yet. So I think we definitely need to apply for an extension.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if I don't, so, because if we can get Monday.
Okay, well, it says the deadline for the, that's the adoption up there, for the introduction is March 29th to April 28th, or the next regularly scheduled governing body meeting after April 28th, which would be May 4th.
Right, that's why I was waiting to see how far we got on Thursday.
Yeah. Okay.
In speaking with LVH today, they're confident that if we can wrap up by Tuesday the 28th, they can do what they need to do for introduction on the 4th.
Okay, so let's wait to see what happens on Thursday, how far we get, and what open items we have. If we have too many open items that we will not finish by the 28th, then I'm going to work to file the extension. Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yep, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay, budget 2020 discussion.
Nope, you gotta go back to the library. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped. My turn to jump. Laura, you online?
I'm here.
There you go. That's what I was worried about. I'm sorry, Stacy. Laura Rifkin's on the line for the library.
Oh, because I just have that under budget, I don't have that under,
Yeah, budget discussion, library discussion via conference call.
You were right, Stace.
I'm sorry, I jumped because I was worried about Laura losing us.
Oh, I'm here. I'm good. Let me know when you're ready.
Oh, wait, can I ask you a question? You going into the budget things now?
no, we're doing the library presentation?
Oh, okay, gotcha, okay.
You can't leave, Ken.
Not yet.
You're not excused.
Pardon me.
Could we just hold on 1 second? I left my library packet in the other room. Could I just go get it?
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much for waiting. Ed.
No, no problem. If it's agreeable, Council President Feeney, I figured I'd just kind of give a brief overview of each of the documents with a pause for Q&A at the end of each one.
Sure, that sounds great.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody, for having me. I'm hoping you and your families are all doing well. I figured I would start with the 2019 statistical review sheet, just to give everybody a base on how the library has been doing. This was actually a document that we came up with, I want to say about 7 years ago. Dr. Cassio had a number of questions, and as it developed, different council members have had me add on different statistics. So if there's ever something that you would like to see, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to add it in there. As you can see, the circulation statistics go from 2011 to 2019. You have a really nice increase over the years. This 2019, we had just over 81,000 items were circulated in the township. 2018, we had a really nice bump up to 87,000 because it was our 50th anniversary year. So we had a number of additional programs and events where people were in the building and kind of exploring. So we had a bump up in circulation there as well. Library card holders were actually up to 71%. This is a really significant increase. It's about 6,432 residents who have library cards. Back in 2011, you had just over 3,000. So we're really, really proud of how many people are getting active in the library. Program attendance, 2018, again, it was an anniversary year. That's why you have that really nice spike up there. 2019, we had 10,697 people attend programs in 2019. Under your third of a mill funding, that's the library's funding for the year. Our high was in 2008, just before the economic recession. Low was in 2014. The high was 664, 116. Low was 567, 423. We are gradually, slowly coming back up, which is wonderful. This year, the appropriation is $609,902. I always like to note that the township really helped us out in 2017 with an additional $26,000 to replace 5 of the 7 HVAC units. We had received a green energy grant, and they sponsored that. Door count, we did start with a door counter in 2015 because we know that a lot of people come in not necessarily circulating anything, not necessarily attending a program, but just utilizing the space and the reference librarian services. So our total number of visits in 2019 was 99,057. Average monthly visit is just over 8,000. Again, 2018 had that nice anniversary year spike. So when we have more events and programs, obviously more people come in. New in 2017 was the Wi-Fi for computer usage. We had increased traffic on our Wi-Fi that was slowing things down. So the library upgraded to a Cisco Meraki Wi-Fi system in 2017, which included a dashboard. So now we can actually track how many people per day are using the Wi-Fi. We reached almost 17,000 this past year, which was really impressive, and almost 3,200 people utilizing the computers in-house. So it just kind of goes an overview to show you how the library has grown over the past few years. Does anybody have any questions on that report?
Laura, I have one.
Sure.
On the Wi-Fi, do you know if the signal is strong enough to get out to the new Veterans Memorial?
I know that it can reach the parking lot.
Okay.
Which is slightly farther out. The Veterans Memorial is the only question I have about the Veterans Memorial is that it's close to the staff offices, which the staff offices are all hardwired computers, so we didn't have a Wi-Fi signal installed back there. But should we end up doing the building renovation, part of that would be public space, which would include a Wi-Fi system being, unit being installed there. So it would definitely do so. However, I have a feeling that if they can get to it in their cars from the parking spots, they should be able to get to it from the Veterans Memorial.
I agree, and if they can, I assume we can just put an extender on it at some point.
Yeah.
Because I reached out last week, and the gazebo is still a possibility.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know that there's a booster that we could get for it.
Yeah.
So that's always a possibility.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions for the 2019 statistics?
No, thank you.
Okay. I'll move on to the 2020 funding request. So this is actually the first time we're requesting additional funding for the library. So thank you so much for even considering our request. The library appropriations are configured by what we call the third of a mill funding. It's the equalized property evaluation that's done by the state. And that's how we get our annual funding numbers. On that second slide, you'll see the current budget is $609,902, and that covers all the following library expenditures. It's everything from full-time salaries and part-time wages, health benefits, including pension, dental, the whole shebang. And of course, with the increase on minimum wage for the next few years, the increase of costs to health benefits, now having to pay out for part-time or sick leave, all of these kind of come up to pretty significant numbers. As you can see, it's about 72% of our budget is spent between salaries and benefits. It also includes materials. These are our physical books, DVDs, CDs, digital materials. That's our downloadable audiobooks, downloadable ebooks, streaming videos, and of course, all of our online databases, Mango Languages, Ancestry.com, ProQuest, Tutor.com, things like that. All of our programs and supplies, all of our utilities, that's our PSE&G, our Suez Water, our Buckles membership fee, and now the delivery fees that are associated with that. Buildings and grounds repairs and supplies, meaning plumbing, roofing, HVAC, sprinklers, and it's everything from little things, that kind of pop up to, when we had that grant done and the town sponsored the HVAC units, there happened to be a $7,000 plumbing problem that we had to take care of that year. Plumbing never seems to be cheap, Mr. DeSena. It doesn't matter if it's a sewer problem or not. Professional services, I kind of lumped a whole bunch of different things in there just so that, because they were all very small amounts that added up to a significant portion. Public relations is banners, flyers, the newsletter that we put out 4 times a year, ad space that we have to take out for meeting advertisements and whatnot. Professional development, there are New Jersey state laws as to what we have to do, and professional development is one of them, both for the Board of Trustees and for the full-time MLS librarians to have continuing education credits that they have to do each year. We do have to have a state-mandated audit every year. We do our own payroll, and we have to have our own attorney. Equipment repairs and maintenance really reflect more towards the computers, copy machines, fax machine, that type of thing. On the next slide, you can see the 2020 proposed. And what we're asking is that the council consider covering the cost of the pension or the health benefits, ideally both, moving forward. Should the town cover these expenses, the library will be able to direct those funds to public reaching efforts. We want to expand programs and workshops. We want to increase library hours. We want to implement new enrichment opportunities for families. We want to increase online and print material purchases. And we want to increase online services. By funding those 2 items, it drastically changes how the funding is spent. It brings down the benefits line about 15%, so that we would only have to be covering unemployment and Social Security. Materials goes up 6%, programs goes up 7%. Utilities and buildings and grounds, obviously, if we're open more hours, would require more there. And salaries would go up 1%, not for any salary increases, but more for the hiring of additional part-timers to accommodate those additional programs and hours that we would be open. This support request is really a request to match what has been happening in our neighboring towns. Most libraries in Pascack Valley are funded over their third of a mill amounts, in addition to having some benefits covered. Of course, right now, everyone is currently in the same funding discussions for 2020. But for an example, in 2019, Westwood had a base appropriation of $720,000, and then got an additional $30,000 from their town in addition to paying benefits. Hillsdale had a base funding of $623,000, and then their town went over that appropriation by another $113,000 for general library expenses and benefits. Of the libraries in Pascack Valley, Washington Township has the lowest appropriation. That's really just because we lack the tax support of a large business area. The residential setting is what makes it an amazing community to be a part of. You have a connected community of neighbors who donate their time and energy to create a safe and welcoming and supportive environment for their families. But as all of you know, it also limits your tax revenue. I know from previous conversations that many of you are aware of various state library laws, which we have to adhere to. And you know that it covers everything from the number of hours we have to be open to the number of books we have to purchase each year. One to remember at this time is that the money raised for our third of a mill appropriation is a separate line on the tax bill, so it doesn't come from the town's general fund. It's also not part of your budget cap. Something else to consider is that after the last recession in 2008, the library usage actually went up 20%, but as you saw in the previous spreadsheet, our appropriation started going down in drastic amounts. So while we're still on the financial rebound from that drop, the American Library Association is already expecting library usage to increase far more than 20% in response to the pandemic. I can tell you that we've already seen a jump in service requests. My staff has been reaching out to everyone that we're kind of used to seeing in the building to check on them, especially seniors who we knew just got back out of surgeries or are living alone. But we're getting a lot of email requests for reference services. People who have lost their jobs are looking for resources. Parents who are having a hard time with the homeschooling. Our Hoopla, which is our downloadable, doubled in just the 2 full weeks that we were closed in March. So we're still waiting to see those April numbers. There's obviously going to be services that our residents will need in the upcoming years to help them recover from this time. We're looking into offering support groups, job search workshops, interview prep, financing and budgeting classes, legal and mortgage talks. They're very real concerns that our residents have, and we want to be ready to address them as soon as we can reopen in a safe manner. We're exploring things like curbside pickup and no contact home delivery of materials, purchasing additional Wi-Fi hotspots for circulation to families who can't afford them at this time. And the list just goes on and on. But basically, we'd really like to spend more of our money towards reaching out to the community and improving their library experience. A lot of times there's, issues that come before you all at a council meeting that you may not be able to address through the rec department or something like that. And we're hoping that the library can step up and say, we might be able to have something to offer to help out in issues that you may hear that we don't. So that's kind of the request that we're putting to you for consideration as you consider your 2020 budget. Are there any questions on that before I go over the building grant?
Not for me, no.
Okay.
No, not for me.
So far, thank you.
Okay.
Laura,
Yes.
Laura, Councilman DeSena, you asked one question. The 496 that's in the budget right now, is that our administrative level? Is the 609 the new level that you're proposing with the addition of the PERS and the insurance being paid by us, the new level?
So the 609 is what the state mandates that is paid to the library no less than quarterly. We get a monthly check from you guys. How the appropriation works, like this year, our budget is 600 and change.
Okay.
So what happens is that the 2019 year, our budget was 600 and change. The town bills essentially deducts the total amount for the pension and the health insurance at the beginning of the year, and our monthly check is just given to us after that fact. So we're asking you not to withhold those funds. We're asking if we can just be part of, because the town is the one that negotiates everything anyway, you guys kind of know, and then we end up going back and forth. There's a lot of paperwork. Like right now, we're still operating on 2019 numbers because we haven't fully gotten the 2020 numbers yet. Pension numbers change, the health insurance gets renegotiated. So we just kind of try to wait, and then we settle up in the spring. This way, it would just be a flat amount, much less paperwork. Everything would just kind of be going to the library. We do our own payroll. It would just be a flat check. So it's a little bit easier to budget for, but
Okay, I was just asking the question. I was going to ask the mayor the next question. We show mayor's appropriating $628,000, so I didn't know where the difference came from. That's all.
The difference is the additional over the third of a mill funding is an additional 2%, about $16,000, to help us achieve some of the goals that we're looking to. When we're surrounded by other towns that have a budget and with the additional appropriations that they get of about $740, to have a library operations of around 600. It's a drastic difference. And, you know, we do a survey every other year at Town Day where we're asking for customer service satisfaction. And a lot of times we get compared to the neighboring towns. Not everybody realizes that without the businesses, our appropriation difference is about $150,000 a year. It adds up, it limits. We're trying to, you guys know, I'm kind of competitive. I really want to kick butt with the other libraries.
Well, yeah,
really
the other towns are also a lot larger, you know. So
Exactly, I was just going to say that.
You know,
Some of
Westwood's
them
a
are.
lot bigger
Some of them are.
township.
It is by about, what is it, 5,000 difference?
Yeah, it's double. It's you know, it's half our population.
Yeah. So, but Hillsdale is very similar population-wise. You know, we obviously can't go based on population all the time. Franklin Lakes has a similar population, and their budget is over $1 million.
Yeah, well, the assessed values are a lot different.
Sure.
Okay.
But, you know, it's
That's
one of those things. We kind of just we take a look. You know, our patrons take a look. You know, Montvale is obviously much bigger. They're over 800,000. Riverdale is similar. They're at close to 700,000. Park Ridge is in a similar spot. It's one of those things. The only one that's lower than us is Old Tappan, which same thing, about half our population. But Old Tappan is also an association library. It's actually the only association library in all of northern New Jersey, so it has different operating laws. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Of course. All right, I'll move on to the building grant. So 2020 building grant. I tried just to give a brief grant overview. 2002 was the last New Jersey building grant for libraries. 2017 is when the state voted to put the building grant into action. So we've been waiting for this application for over 2 years. The first building grant, they had it out within 6 months. There were very few libraries that applied to it. 2 years means that all 400 libraries in the state of New Jersey are chomping at the bit for this grant. The grant finally, the guidelines were completed and officially released back in February. As I mentioned, every other year we do a customer service survey at Town Day. Feedback is collected, and that's how we consider making changes and looking towards our strategic plan. When the grant was announced, the library board identified 3 construction improvements that we thought would greatly improve the library patron experience and offerings that we can have to our residents. The 3 that we identified were the multipurpose room, a fix on the handicapped ADA compliant ramp and entrance outside, as well as the installation of some permanent attic stairs. That next slide shows the multipurpose room. I tried to highlight some of the architectural drawings to make it a little bit more legible. That area that's highlighted in green in the lower right corner, that's actually currently all staff space. There's 2 offices that are there that we'd like to open up and make it a quiet study space for during programs and a medium-sized meeting room space. Currently, the library offers more than 25 programs a week and supports about 10 to 15 meetings weekly. That's everything from Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, coaches, different organizations in town, the Women's Club, et cetera, et cetera. The hard thing with our current setup is that we've got 2 meeting spaces. One is our story time room, which is obviously geared more towards children, and it fits about 20. And then we have the other extreme of our large community room, which fits about 100. So if we have a meeting space for, say, the Women's Club where they have 10 members, they don't really, you know, they're adults, they don't really feel comfortable in the story time room children's chairs, but they don't really need the large community room space. So this would be something that would be perfect for a group of that size. PTO meetings, things like that. Likewise, library. Sure.
Sorry. Couldn't another solution be those temporary walls that you can move back and forth to make the rooms, the auditorium, bigger, smaller? Wouldn't that be a little more feasible?
Yes and no, because of the electronics that are in the room based on the meeting that they want to have. And the way that the room is set up, we're all glass on one side, and on the other side is the actual doors. So there's not a wall that could connect a temporary wall, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But it's so hard when you're doing it online. But we had actually wanted to ask everybody to come through. If anybody would like a tour of the spaces, we're happy to do that. But yeah, when you look at the large community room in the back, there's only 2 walls that are solid walls, and they're not, they create an L shape. So it's not walls that you could connect with a temporary fixture. Our solution to the problem was to just change over those 2 office spaces, reallocating the 3 staff members into the main office area, and then we could designate that those quiet study hours during programs. The meeting space could be booked for different groups, and of course library classes, things like group skills, job searching, language classes, senior computer classes, and an additional space for the town organizations and book groups. We of course know that, adding added programs, as you saw in 2018, we offer them, they come. It would give us a new space to be able to do that. We get meeting room requests for a year in advance. So it's definitely something that is desired in the community. The next slide is for the ADA compliant ramp and entrance. If you've been by the library lately, you know that we have the one ADA compliant ramp that goes up. There's no current awning on the front of the building. And the ADA compliant doors have a certain speed with which they open and close for safety measures. Right now, they press the button and anybody with a walker, a wheelchair, or a stroller is standing out in the rain waiting for them to open, or the snow, or inclement weather in general. So we had wanted to put on an awning, a permanent awning with lighting underneath it for safety. We also, our current book drop is not up on a pedestal on the landing the way that it's depicted on the drawing to the right. It's actually down lower. So if somebody is ADA compliant, they're not able to get to the book drop on off hours. This would be that additional curb cut that you see right in front, as well as the walkway that goes to the left and connects to the existing ramp underneath, so that way it's a minimal amount of changing. But it does allow us to make an additional handicapped accessible space in our parking lot with that cutout there. It does show in the green, so you can see where the new landing is with the book drop versus the existing landing. It comes out quite a bit farther, and where that curb cut is at the very base. The third project was the installation of the permanent attic stairs. So attic storage right now is only accessible through some pull-down stairs in the local history room. It's that red dotted area. Maintenance workers and staff who need to go up, that's our only area for storage since we don't have a basement. It's disruptive for anybody who's looking to use the local history room. And we just had a Boy Scout do a beautiful job renovating the space. We really want people to be able to utilize it. It's also not the safest. You're talking about workers going up with equipment, staff going up with very heavy boxes, up and down attic stairs that are folding. So there's safety issues that are there. We'd like to install permanent attic stairs in the back staff area. That's that green column in the center there. And that it allows for unrestricted safe access for staff and maintenance workers to be able to get up and down. It won't disrupt local history room anymore. And that way it can become a more interactive space for residents to view artifacts and also see the rotating displays. The Boy Scout had organized a number of different people in town who want to temporarily donate to the room so that things can be on display.
I absolutely agree with you. I saw and walked up and down those stairs at one point with the energy, the LED lighting project, and they're really not suitable for storage for your staff. They're a little bit hazardous. They're household stairs. They're weak and flimsy.
Yeah. And of course, any construction needs support elements. We need to update the security system, the HVAC replacement and split, and furniture. So the updated security system, the last security system was installed back in 2003. As you can imagine, with technology changes, there's a lot of challenges right now. The camera quality is very poor. Storage ability is very limited. And visibility, the number of cameras that we have at the angles that once worked don't really work anymore. Officer Pecora came out and actually did a walkthrough with me to see, because they do utilize our outdoor footage quite a bit for traffic incidents that happen on Finnerty or Woodfield, for issues that occur in the shopping center. So we took a look around, saw where there were some blind spots to put additional coverage. The company that we got the quote from is actually the same company that the town utilizes, so the police officers would be very easy to access the footage when needed. It's much better quality. It's cloud-based storage, so we can store segments of footage for longer. It also includes a speaker system for emergency announcements, which we don't currently have, and panic buttons, which we don't currently have. The HVAC replacement and split. So at this point, 6 of the 7 HVAC units were replaced in the last 4 years. 5 of them were done in the town in 2017 when we had the Green Energy Grant. 1 was done by the library in 2018 because we had to close for a few days when that tree fell on the building, and the crane was there anyway, so we took advantage of that. But the last remaining unit has started to leak. So we figured that this would be an opportune time to replace it while half of the cost could be covered by the grant.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I just got word last week from the Wildan Engineering people who had done the survey with Ryan on your building that they have gotten another round of funding. The funding had run out, so we were stopped dead. But they have a new round of funding, and as soon as they're allowed to go back out into the field, they're closed right now, they can be over there, and you can have a 70-30 grant on a brand new piece of equipment.
Beautiful.
And we're going to put in, the mayor has allowed me to specify an energy management system for you. And I believe that, if I may say so, he suggested that the town may pick up the cost of that system, which would be not really very much.
That would be wonderful. I know that there's a lot of benefits to it.
And we're going to fix the humidity problems in those 2 rooms.
Perfect. The other thing is that we do need a split if the multipurpose room is created, because it's a new space and it would require its own access for heating and cooling.
Sure.
And then of course there's always furniture. Condensing office space will require new furniture to consolidate everything, and the multipurpose room would require tables and chairs that transform from single use into a meeting table. We did kind of get quotes for everything. So this way, as you guys know, the bidding process takes a little bit of time. I like to have my numbers to know what the most it could cost would be and hope that the bids come in lower, but at least we're prepared. There were changes from on the application list from 2019 to 2020. So basically, I just kind of titled it, what increased the cost from $100,000 to $180,000, and there were 2 main points that really changed it. The final grant details weren't released until this February, and they evolved to include green initiative improvements that were not originally listed when the grant was discussed. So we included that HVAC unit in there. We figured that this was a good opportunity to do so, and just felt like, we didn't want to come to the town in another year or 2 and say this one's failing again. We thought it's best to get it in now while we have the opportunity, and the library would already be closed for some of the other renovations. So it's less disruptive to services. The second largest change was the inclusion of a generator for the building, which was not originally on there. The generator listed was originally part of a previous grant plan that was awarded to the town after Superstorm Sandy, but unfortunately it wasn't installed within the time frame that was designated. So as the installation would improve our chances of being awarded the grant and allow the town to meet its commitment of installing the generator in a municipal building, the grant writer suggested its inclusion in the current library building grant. So that's really where that additional $80,000 comes into play, with between those 2 items. Is there any additional information I could give or questions I might be able to answer regarding the building grant?
Did you look into, this is Art, did anybody suggest, or is your stairwell big enough that there is the dumbwaiter kind of a thing that they've been selling older folk for their garages and so on, so that the garage attic may be used for storage, and you push a button and up it goes, Would this be of any benefit to you, do you suppose?
Or inside the attic itself?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I'd have to take a look at it.
Mr. Cumming, great minds think alike. I was going to ask the same question if we looked at a list for that attic stairway also, so.
Thank you for your
So
compliment. I know you're one of them. I just watch TV myself, and I thought that might be a very handy, nobody has to carry anything.
And I guess, Laura, what the generator, what would be the need for the generator? That's my question.
So it stops us from halting services should any emergencies come up. In Superstorm Sandy, the library was the only building that still had power, so we became a heating and cooling center for the town. So we increased hours while the town was going through what it was going through and allowed people just to kind of come in, charge things, check in with family, that type of stuff. On a day-to-day, it allows us, should there be a thunderstorm or something that the power gets knocked out, we don't have to close because we're lacking power and safety issues pop up.
But you don't have a generator now, do you?
We do not.
Okay.
We do not. I don't know where it was
Make it
originally.
another heating and cool. That could be another heating and cooling center, Mike. Councilman?
Yes, I hear you.
I think that would be
It's just a lot of money at this time. It's a lot of money, $80,000 extra for this grant, that's all.
I agree.
Yes, sir.
All right, would you be able to send me something on the list so I could take a little bit of a look at it?
Yes, ma'am. I'll look it up
Thank you.
first thing tomorrow.
Laura, when you get a chance, can you just email me I have it on my computer already. I'm a step ahead of Art. Just email me your email address and I'll send it to you. I'll copy you on it also.
With your permission, I'll contact Wildan Energy about resurveying the one unit that you're in need of, so that as soon as they are ready to roll, they will put it in the works, because we have a new round of funding from public service. I was told
Wonderful.
just 4 weeks ago, and then 3 weeks ago, pandemic hit and their staff was laid off.
Sure.
So they're ready to roll as soon as they're allowed to roll.
Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Is there anything else I can help with, President Feeney?
Tell us about the grant. How does the grant function? Is it a match? Is it a minimum spend? And then when's the deadline for the grant?
Yeah. And what page are we on in the budget, if any?
We're on page
deadline was
64 of the
extended.
budget, Art.
Thanks.
The grant deadline was extended to June. It was originally due in April. It is a matching grant. You do have to approve funding before you can apply. Or I'm sorry, I should say that there's a letter of commitment for funding when you apply. And then within, I believe the grant writer specified 90 days of the award being given to you, you have to prove that the funding is there. It is, what was your follow-up question, Stephanie?
What's the, is it a match or is it a minimum spend? How is that?
Okay. So it's not a minimum spend, but because there are so many libraries that are applying, there is a sweet spot. You don't want to be too low that they feel you could afford to do it on your own, and you don't want to be too high that they're going to be, utilizing all their funding on one location. They're also looking for it to be a well-versed grant, hence the green energy elements that we kind of added in. The $300,000 to $400,000 area seems to be the one that they're responding to the most. It is also a grant that's different from the previous one in that it's heavily reliant on the architect. Previous grants have not been so heavily reliant on the architect, and to be honest, I think that it was a way for them to kind of weed through people. The library has been paying for the drawings, the grant portion that's submitted from the architect has already been paid for. It's been about $13,000 that the library has put out towards it. We're looking at it as, even if we didn't get the grant for whatever reason, we're looking at it as a strategic plan. We know what our community has asked of us, and we do want to make it happen, and we're looking at it as this way we have drawings ready to go, we have a schematic ready to go. We obviously are hoping we are awarded the grant, but should it not happen, we would then try to phase it out into a 5-year project so that this way we could make these improvements in a timely manner and have people utilize our building as much as possible.
Okay. And you're seeing a significant impact based on the current epidemic that we're in, that people are utilizing the online services even more?
Oh, yeah. Big time. We're having over 600 views on our online story times. Like I said, Hoopla doubled in 2 weeks for the entire month. You know, so I'm very anxiously awaiting what our April numbers will be, because it will be a full month of closure.
Right.
To see what's going on, but all of our online services are up right now. All my full-timers are in email and phone communication with members of the public. My part-timers are constantly generating me reports as the state is requiring different information from us as we kind of move through this. We're already thinking about, you know, different levels of service that we can open as things are alleviated, being as we think that it'll probably be in stages. You know, so when social distancing isn't quite as bad, you know, if they allow so many people in the building at a time, you know, can I have my staff in there and we do curbside pickup for people? Can we do homebound delivery for seniors? Can we do special hours for seniors to come into the building to get things, or anybody else who's highly susceptible? You know, we're looking at cleaning procedures. You know, the paper on books is a challenge to clean, and especially the way that books are stored. So we're coming up with cleaning procedures and hygiene procedures, you know, for both staff and for materials and surfaces and everything. So it's quite the undertaking. But at the same time, we're also looking at what the public is at, the kinds of questions that we're getting reference-wise, job searching-wise, family management issues from budgetary standpoint, from homeschooling standpoint.
Right.
You know, just general concern that we have. You know, we used to host a pretty successful support group for veterans in town for a number of years, and we're looking at maybe having something similar for parents who have lost their jobs. Not necessarily a therapy session, but a support group, even for kids who are going through this type of stuff. You know, we're trying to reach out to.
How will you do those support groups? Through what venue? Will you be using stigma-free, because we have support groups like that, or what's the plan for that?
There's actually a number of different ones that we're looking at. We've been in touch with the Municipal Alliance County Coordinator, has a number of vendors that she has vetted for this type of thing. The State Library is also promising to put out a list as well, but I think stigma-free, being as it's local, will definitely be heavily kind of utilized. We're also trying to reach out to the guidance counselors in all the schools to see what's going on their end. You know, we want to make sure that we're not, we want to offer things that they're not already offering, so that way it's just not a wasted effort.
Right, that was my question, how are you not doubling what we already have or have access to?
Yeah. It's, you know, Margaret Montaner at the high school has been great with reaching back and forth. So we're kind of, you know, as I said, everything is a big question mark, and we're exploring all avenues right now. We know that seniors have been in the most contact with us. They're checking on their friends. They're concerned, obviously. You know, a lot of them don't have access to technology that would help them get through this time. The library does have 3 Wi-Fi hotspots that we're kind of circulating amongst people as we can find them and help them. We're doing online tutorials. We have videos. Should they say they don't know how to set up an email account, we can send them something so that way, and walk them through it over the phone to set everything up. You know, it's a whole new level of services that we've never had to do before. And to be honest, I'm really proud of the team for coming together as they have and offering all the different things that they've kind of come up with. We're going to be working on stories for our local history room from people in the township coming up. You know, there's a lot that's going on, and we're trying to track as best as possible everything that we're hearing from the community. To be honest, I'm hoping maybe people are listening to this recording and even come out and email us something that they're going through, so that way we can help.
Okay, so you're already offering these things.
The support groups and whatnot?
No, you're saying the way it sounds is if you're already helping people and supporting them through the online programming, and you're very proud of your staff and all of that. So that's already happening, correct?
That's already happening. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the staff has a conference call once to twice a week on services that after talking with people, we have like a running list of things that we need to tackle and want to address before we reopen, and what can we have, what new offerings can we have for people once we reopen. A lot of people are not tech savvy or to find things that they're looking for and need assistance with. So it's two layers. One is what can we give them to access from home? Like, we never had tutor.com before. We got a number of phone calls from parents saying that they were just having a horrible time trying to figure out the homeschooling. Libraries and the library friends came together and found funding for tutor.com. So this way the parents have access to certified tutors for their children. They also do job searching assistance. So people who have lost their jobs now have job searching available to them.
And that tutor.com is a free service for the residents?
For the residents. All you have to do is put in your library card number. So that's something we were able to implement now. The online story times we could implement now. We are doing online STEM classes now, museum tours now, book chats now, census help now. But when we reopen, there's another layer of help that we're looking to offer patrons and residents that we feel is best done in person and would be necessary after the fact, after the pandemic has started to clear up.
I was one of the parents that told you about tutor.com, so.
Oh, good. Then I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I also heard other towns, and we're planning on doing it in the future, they're offering things like help with college applications and help with college, like prep courses, things like that. If we expand, is that some of the ideas you have too, to bring some local for high school students getting ready? And
yes. Yeah, we already have a list of a couple of different organizations and prices for programs and whatnot, from financial aid workshops to drafting applications.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Why would you need to expand to be able to offer that service?
That's one it's usually, the financial aid is usually something that's done one big class and then often one-to-one assistance. So being as it's something that's sensitive, we really don't have a space. It's just one of the things that we could offer in a smaller group size, as opposed to taking up the space from, like, if somebody books the large meeting room for 10 people, it's great if we don't have any other meeting room requests. However, if then somebody else comes to me and has a meeting with 50 people that's a PSO thing that they want to have, I now have no space for them. In which case, I could have had the 10-person group in the new space and had the PSO as well.
But that's always going to be an issue. If you have more than 2 people looking for a room, you'll need a third room. So I'm just wondering if it's like is it really nice to have, and I understand that, or is it a need to have because it's a lot of money?
Well, it's also the quiet study space. So the building renovation cost for that particular portion of it, for that meeting room space, is $50,000, was the estimate. Now, it does have on those add-ons of an additional Wi-Fi spot, additional security cameras. That's kind of smaller cost. So maybe with everything else included, $65,000, for what that space would be as part of the whole. But that is, the quiet study space is something we have had feedback on residents from for the 8 years that I have been here. It's a very nice, very, very open floor plan building, but the sound carries every time we have a program. And the programs are very well attended. They're getting more and more well attended. We're offering more and more programs. So the noise level does disrupt people who are trying to study independently, trying to do job applications, trying to utilize the computers. So having an isolated room where it's away from that noise level is going to be a very big thing for our population.
so the other question I had was, I see that there hasn't been a grant for something like this in a very long time.
2002. In 2002 is actually when you guys were awarded the space that created that additional meeting room in the back and the teen center.
I think that's a very, very full explanation of your plans for the expansion, and I think it sounds quite good, actually.
Thank you.
Yep, okay, thank you.
If anybody comes up with any other questions and wants to email me, please feel free. Likewise, if anybody wants to take a tour of the building once we reopen, please let me know. I'm happy to do so. It was part of our original plan to kind of have you all through together to take a look at everything in person. And I know things are a little difficult now, but if there's anything I can do to help, I'm happy to do so.
Can we arrange that if we distance and wear masks and gloves? Is that permitted, or am I not?
I agree with Mr. Cummings. I would like to look, especially to see some of the items that are being requested. I'd like to.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Could we plan a night, an evening, perhaps? Would you think?
Yeah, I would think so. Bob, do you have any?
Do I have any what?
Do you have any? In terms of the governor's order for closing, would it be permitted for me to have the gathering at the library as long as we observe social distancing?
Well, obviously, the group would have to be under 10, which it would be. Have to follow all those other rules. I don't love the idea because we have ordered all the buildings closed, but I think if council really needs to do this to get a better feel for the project, then we just have to make sure we're extremely cautious.
Mr. Poller? Mr. Poller, are you with us still?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
And I'm just.
So I think Mr. Tobo, he answered. We're good.
No, but Stacy, if you meet as a group, Ken, is this considered a meeting?
Well, are you all going together or no? You all going to go at one time?
It would be to look at the.
Well, what if we broke it up? What if we broke it up into two groups or three groups?
Two you could do.
Okay, so we'll break it up into two groups.
Okay.
So if we do, what's everybody's availability for this week? Since we're all home.
Can we do that offline, Stace? Can we figure that out?
Yeah, sure. I was just gonna say, could we do Wednesday and possibly Friday?
Sure.
Yes.
I'll go with the majority. Put me down for either night.
Or we could do Wednesday and just do one at 5 and one at 6, or one at 7. Doesn't matter.
I'm better for Friday.
Okay.
And any time because it's the only day I'm not working.
Okay. Right. So I'm good for Friday or Wednesday. So we could do one more for Friday, and then Councilman Casio, Councilman DeSena, does anybody want to join Friday?
I could do any time after 3:30, any day.
I could do any time. So Ken, we could do two groups and get around Sunshine Law like that?
Yeah, two does it. You know what? The funny thing is, you're not discussing even town business. I mean, you're doing an inspection, actually.
Well, but it's a budget item. I don't want to see them get caught.
No. When you say it may be a budget item, but if they were looking at a field and they were all marching out to the field, is that a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act? I'm not sure it is.
Okay, so can you let us know, and then we could just schedule it for Friday?
Right, and this is not going to be made on the spot. It's going to be brought back in front of the open meeting and have a conversation about it. It's basically seeing what we're going to be talking about.
That's why I'm trying to distinguish between. You got to be careful when three council people get together and they see. The problem is, it's one thing to inspect. It's another thing to discuss. You guys are going to start discussing,
right?
Then you definitely can't do it. So if you're going to actually talk to each other about things, no, then you can't do it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We're not. If we're just going to
you're just gonna go for a tour. and somebody else is talking.
But we could ask Laura questions, correct?
That's what I was concerned with, Ken.
See, the problem is, see, once you start getting involved in, interaction and discussion, and then, each one feeds off the other, you better do it only two.
All right, so let's do the two groups, just to be on the safe side. So we've got Wednesday and Friday.
But you can only have, two people though, Ken, right?
So two groups, he said.
I said two people can go, and two groups can go, two at a time.
Well,
I don't need to go.
So one's going to go by themselves.
Guys can go. I don't need to go.
Okay, so, Councilman Conner and Council DeSena, what,
Whatever you guys want to do.
okay, so, all right, so we'll just handle that. I'll have to send an email, we could pick a day. Okay, so any other questions
Very good, thank you.
of the presentation?
No.
Okay.
Nope, not at the present time.
I'm good.
Okay, we're on to the budget.
Okay, thank you all so much. Have a pleasant evening.
Did you want to stay for your section on here, or?
That's fine if you want me to answer any questions or anything like that.
Since we already got you, I think it would be beneficial if you hung out, and then we could make sure that we didn't have any questions.
No problem.
Probably if you leave, we'll have questions. If you stay, we won't.
That's of course the way it is.
Exactly. Okay, so we're on page 64, half of the way down, library contribution due after expense.
Okay, so now you're into budget stuff?
Yes, sir, we're into budget stuff.
Okay. All right. Then you guys have a good night.
Thanks, you too, Ken.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Pollard. Good night.
Okay, bye.
Good night.
Night.
Okay, the first line of the Sorry, okay. Contribution due after expense, first line. Everybody on page 64, halfway down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. $496,000.
This is a statutory amount, is it not? It's regulated by ordinance,
Right.
by law.
No, it's above it, correct, Mr. Mayor?
The $609,902 is what's the statutory amount.
Mr. Mayor, is it not 487?
487 was last year.
Yeah, I'm saying, but wouldn't it be similar to this year since our evaluations haven't changed? Or does that include 400,000 extra for garbage pickup that's driving that number up?
Well, no, garbage collection has nothing to do with this number. This is all based on total townwide valuation, not the budget.
Okay.
But just to clarify, Mr. DeSena, Alex from LVH is looking at this number a little deeper for us, as well as how the money is deducted when the library is built. So we're going to hold off on discussing it until we have all the answers. It might go more smoothly.
Okay, Mr. Tovo, it would be nice to just know that line's in question before we put it up.
Well, quite frankly, I didn't know it was in question until we were reviewing a few items today with LVH.
Okay. Okay, health benefits paid by township. Is this, so administration's recommending 72 and the requested is 70.
Now, we also have when this was done, we didn't have the bills in yet. So all these numbers can come down a little bit. Healthcare is 67,518. Pension to 35,315.
315, Bob?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And insurance down to $14,553.
Okay, so the request here for the health benefits should be 68 and 35.5 and 14.6.
Yes.
If those are bills, why can't we make them the actual amount, Stacy?
I just thought in case there was a rounding issue instead of having to get pennies from somewhere else.
So I'm saying if Mr. Polo's giving us the invoices, why can't we make them the exact amount to be done with it?
Are those definitive invoices? I mean, that's...
And the library pension paid by Township, how much was that?
It was $35,315. Are these actual invoice amounts, Mr. Trevor?
They are.
All right, so let's make them as is. There's gonna be no additional fees. We're not gonna be late or any penalties or anything.
None that I'm aware of. Laura, are you?
No, we've already, we're not budgeted off of this budget yet. We're still operating off of 2019. But as far as I'm aware, nothing has been delayed.
Okay, Laura, so your recommendation for, I'm just confirming with you, the health benefits paid by Township, you've been informed it's $67,518. Would that amount work, or?
So the township, Bob, am I correct in saying the township usually does any kind of health insurance renegotiations in the spring?
Right now, I think we are already beyond that, so we have our solid numbers.
Okay. So then, yeah, that should be correct, so.
Okay, and the same goes for the pension. I'm 35.
It is a set amount, yeah. That's not negotiable. That's from the state, so that's a set amount.
And the insurance, 14,553, I'm assuming we already have that invoice.
We do.
Okay. All right, so I'm good with those exact numbers. Is council fine?
That's
Yeah.
right.
And the top number, 240, is that the 1/3 of a mil?
That's what's being questioned right now.
We simply have to verify the calculation.
So the only three lines I think we can actually approve are going to be 250, 260, and 270.
I see that.
Mr. Tovo, will we be supplied that LVH number once it's available?
Yeah, I'll have it tomorrow, Wednesday latest.
I'd like to see his calculation, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have the state document. Would that help, Bob?
Yeah, sure. Send it over.
Okay. I can send that over to you now.
Okay, so I think that's what we are able to complete this evening. So we're good with those three lines, correct? Everybody's good?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to leave open 240. Further information?
Right, you're confirming that amount, right?
Right.
Or checking the calculations, I heard, I think. Okay. The other three lines are set. Good. Is there anything else we can do?
I don't think until we have the information for on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't have my electric updated and gas updated yet. I was hoping for that, but it wasn't available yet. I should have it for Thursday, without a doubt.
Bob, I just emailed you the spreadsheet from the state.
Thank you. Got it.
Okay, does anybody have anything else? Laura, thank you so much for your time. It is greatly appreciated, and I'll get back to you on what days we're going to come for a visit. Motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good night.
Thank you, everyone.
You all for your good work. Stay healthy.
Take care.
Thank you, too.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Stay safe, Desiree.